Hi, I'm international television star Greg Grunberg, and trust me, don't be alone with Jake Hogan.
Don't be alone with Jake Hogan.
The golden tones means it's time once again for Don't Be Alone with Jake Hogan. I am, of course, Jake Hogan, and this is a podcast dedicated to connecting with the people and the world around us. As you know, every week we come here and we talk with wonderful, smart, funny, pretty messed up people, and sometimes messed up, sometimes never messed up.
Right, sometimes really put together and inspirational people.
That's the voice, of course, of Greg Grunberg, who isn't here yet. We're going to talk to him in a little bit.
Yep.
But in the meantime, I just want to start the show by saying welcome. I'm glad you're here. If you have any questions or comments, please send them to dbawjakehogan@gmail.com. That's Don't Be Alone with Jake Hogan @gmail.com. dbawjakehogan@gmail.com. Jake Hogan is spelled, by the way, no one ever spells my name right. Jaykogen.
How else do you spell it?
Cogan.
Oh,
C-O-G,
sure,
like
sure,
there's a million other terrible ways. I have baseball trophies misspelled, and the thing when you get a baseball trophy is they don't give a shit. So like, yeah, it's misspelled. Yeah, fine. Just take it. There's nobody's gonna redo it. At least not in 1975.
Right,
Nobody cared.
Exactly.
Anyway, the reason we have this podcast is because I believe there's too much loneliness in the world, and this is fight a little bit of loneliness. I believe technology and world events are separating people instead of bringing us together, and I clearly have way too much time on my hands.
I was going to say, this is a reason for you to get out of the house.
Yeah, this is a way to get out of the house, and this is a way for me not to be alone. I'm sitting here with a friend.
Yeah.
So this is great.
And by the way, I've been such a fan of the show. I love. I mean,
what's your favorite episode?
God, it's like
There's
asking me who are my favorite, my favorite child.
Right.
I can't do that.
By the way, which one is your favorite child?
Probably Sam.
Okay, well, I like Sam too. I guess I don't really know the others so well, so he's my favorite as well.
Perfect.
So that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
So Greg, let's just do a little introduction of Greg, although everyone in this room knows who you are.
Yeah.
You and I met each other many, many years ago when first your brother, I knew your brother before I knew you.
Yeah, Brad Grunberg, for those that
who's
don't
an
know.
actor. He
Very
also
funny.
Goes by the name of Johnny Cocktails sometimes.
Sometimes, but not anymore. That was back in the day.
It was a character he embraced back in the day when I first met him.
Yeah.
And then I met you, and you seem to have your life together at a very early age. And my first memory of you, it's not the first time I met you, but my first memory of you is sitting at Fabbricini's, and you were like at the head of this gigantic family table, like really like orchestrating an Italian meal.
Yeah, mafioso.
Yeah, really, but just like, this bringing in the food, we're going to bring this, and I was like, holy shit, who is this guy?
That is awesome.
Yeah, so that's my first memory of you. And
I did decide very early on, I have to say. I mean, I left the house when I was like 18. I just saw opportunities. I get in a situation and I'm like, there's just more. There's more. College was like that for me. I dropped out. I was like, I want to get into the business. Right. I want to start moving and shaking. So yes, you weren't wrong in seeing that. I don't just want bread on the table. I want some olives. Let's go. Get me something to dip in.
So in lieu of college, which is interesting. So what did you do when college came around and everybody else was going in college?
So I did go to college, but prior to going to college, I had worked for De Laurentiis Entertainment Group and Embassy and Jerry Parenchio. They had an office on Wilshire or first in Century City, and I got a job in the mailroom. And I learned very quickly, this is what I like to do. I like these people. I like reading scripts because they would hand scripts down to people in the mailroom. I would read it, and I was doing the mailroom and everything, and I got to know them very well. And Lilia Avincola, who ran the office, and Jim Leahy, they both said, "Oh, stay in touch. This was great. It was just a summer job."
Right.
Then I get down to San Diego State. I start at San Diego State, and I spent my student loan money on a motorcycle. I was taking water skiing. So my dad even said to me, this is a bad investment.
Right. It is a bad investment. Yeah, you're working towards nothing.
Right.
Actually,
and I had student loan debt.
You're working actually towards injury. Bodily injury is actually where you're headed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was studying.
Right.
And I just didn't I don't have anything against college. My my boys, they're in college. Or one of them just graduated, whatever. And my youngest is in college, and my wife is, she got her master's in special ed and everything. So I'm all about education.
What I hear you saying is you hate college.
Yes,
and college
I hate it.
Is shit, and nobody should go.
Right.
Okay.
Gary Vee and I agree in college. If
All
you've heard, Vanderchek's, he just says, he's like, get out in the world.
Right.
College used to be the ticket to success. It isn't anymore. It's all, there's so many
I
opportunities.
wish you had told me this before I sent my son to Stanford at $80,000 a year.
That's
it
what
would
I'm
have really
talking about.
been much better.
Yeah. we'd be using better mics. This would be a nicer studio. That's for sure. But anyway, so I'm down at San Diego State, and I'm keeping in contact with them, and they said, hey, we're moving our office. We're expanding. Dino De Laurentiis, we're doing bigger things. We want you to come up and run the mailroom. So I took the opportunity. I left there. I came up, and I was going to I gave it a good go. I went to night classes at UCLA and SMC, and then over the course of time, I was like, what am I doing?
That's ridiculous.
I'm out in the world,
Well, that's good. Well, so all that working as in somebody's mailroom somehow led you to become a great actor from Heroes and Star Wars and Star Trek and a million other things. I mean, so there's no direct line from working in that mailroom to what you're doing now. So at what point did you say, oh, I'm going to be an actor?
Well, I mean, isn't it sort of through osmosis? I mean, you and I grew up in this town, and you just have friends, and a very close friend of mine, my best friend in the whole world, is also a really good friend of yours, J.J. Abrams, and we grew up together. So when we were 5, we were making little stupid Super 8 movies, and so it was. I loved just it's this typical story. I just loved entertaining people. I loved eliciting a reaction from people, whether it was laughing or whatever. I was kind of the class clown, but not really. I was always interested in different groups of people. It wasn't like I was hanging out with this group or that group. I had a reunion, and I remember like all these different people coming up to me going, and a couple of people, it was really moving. They were like, no one talked to me, and you were my friend in high school. I'm like, I was? Like, I don't even remember. They said, no, you were always nice. You were always...
Right. Well, this brings me to exactly the point I want to make, which is normally I start the show with a rant, which I didn't do right now, but I'm going to do it now because saying hello is going to be my rant. That people don't say hello. People don't say hello. People think about saying hello. People sit alone and wonder, should I say hello? They think, oh, maybe I... The whole idea of reaching out and saying hello to somebody, and less about introducing yourself and more about, hey, I want to find out who you are.
Yes.
Hello, how are you? Who are you?
Yeah.
What are you doing here? And
why do you think that is, though? Let's break that down.
Because we're scared of we're afraid to meet people. We don't want to be rejected. We don't want to be thrown away. We don't want to seem like we're weird. We don't want to seem like we're aggressive or unpleasant. So it's a lot easier to not say hello. But what it doesn't bring you is it doesn't bring you connected to the world. For
sure. And I think I'm lucky in that people think they know me.
Right.
So I'm out there and people are like, majority of people are like, wait, did we go to church together? I'm like, I'm Jewish. And then they go, are we, high school? No. And then I say I'm an actor, and they go, no.
But also,
it's almost saying it breaks the ice.
Of course. But you and I are not particularly shy people.
No.
So it's it's easy to say, go say hello. But I want to convince people who are shy that saying hello is still the right move. And here's the reason. You lose nothing. Let's say you say hello to somebody and somebody says, get away from me.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a little sting to that. Of course, nobody wants to be rejected. Nobody wants to be pushed away. But 9 out of 10 times, people are going to say hello back.
Yes.
And 9 out of 10 times, people are going to be glad you said hello. Put your shy self in that situation. You're sitting alone in a place, and somebody says, hello, I just saw your face, and I just want to say hello. Wouldn't you be thrilled?
For sure. And it's happened, by the way. How many times, though, has your son, your wife, or somebody, you've been at a restaurant, and I know you're like me because you and I have shared and broken bread at many different establishments, and someone will come by and it's like, oh, hey, thanks, Steve. And like, I see their name tag,
right?
And I'm not doing it in the way that my dad would have done it, sort of in an obnoxious way, like I'm gonna. But my kids will be like, what are you doing? Why?
Let me be the judge whether it's obnoxious. Hold on a second. I don't think that's for you to say.
Right.
But no, I think it's delightful. No, you try to connect with people, try to remember their names. That's all good too. But the other thing about saying hello is hello often leads to, what are you doing here?
Yes.
Are you here for the same reason I'm here, or whatever place you are? And you can ask one or two questions to sort of get to know this person. And people love being asked questions.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as they don't think you're trying to, con them out of, money or something like that. But just, what are you doing here? If it's a doctor's office, you don't have to ask about their personal injury.
Right.
But talk about, how'd you meet this doctor? Where'd you come from? Or do you live far?
Right. What kind of lump is that?
Right.
Yeah. No, you don't want to ask that. But here's the thing is, I think we have more in common than we have not in common. And through that hello, like I am fortunately and unfortunately part of a few different clubs, one in which I don't want to be a part of as a caregiver to someone who has epilepsy, right? But that community, it's opened me up to so many people. And when I meet someone and they know that I advocate for people with epilepsy, I mean, there's such an exhale that people take. Oh, there's another person that gets me. Now, that's on a bigger scale.
Right.
We're dealing with bigger issues. But to your point, saying hello or what do you? I mean, it's like breaking the ice at a bar, which I've never been a fan of. Like when I was single. But at the same time, the little common thing, even if it's like I'm having a shitty day. Right. So am I. What's up? And it's like all of a sudden. There's nothing wrong with saying hello. Why are we so afraid of it?
And if you can say hello and find, as you said, we have things in common. If you can find any piece of common ground, then that's the victory.
Yeah.
So the victory is, hello, I'm from Encino.
I don't live. Yeah, my friend lives in Encino. Blah blah blah.
Right.
No, yeah.
Right. But I mean, we grew up very close together. We didn't know each other growing up, but we grew up very close together.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like there's a commonality of Mulholland Drive. There's a commonality of Del Vale or
Calneva and Havenhurst.
Yes.
Now let's break this down. Who does the hello better than anybody else?
Oh, wow. I mean,
they have it down.
You're thinking of somebody specific that I should know?
A group of people.
A group of people.
They do it every time, and we should do it like they do it.
Mormons?
Nope.
Okay. I'm just going to assume Mormons.
Mormons.
That's my answer.
That is your answer.
I mean,
Toddlers.
Toddlers.
When they see each other.
But they also say, hey, you're ugly.
No. That's after.
Okay.
That's after. I'm talking about the initial thing.
What's wrong with that weird foot? They'll say something like that you don't want them to say.
Right. But here's what I have found. And honestly, having now relatives that are young, and I miss those, having our kids be so young. But it's literally.
You call your kids relatives?
No. I have relatives
that are young. Not children or relatives. I feel like you're a little distant from your children.
Yeah, I don't have a close family.
All right.
I just have,
Okay.
No, when you watch little kids meet each other, like at a park or at a party, whatever, it's how old are you? I'm 4 years old.
Right.
I'm 4. That's it. Now they're best friends.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there is something. I've always wanted to do a dance show about little teeny kids at a wedding or at a bar mitzvah. Mm-hmm. They get up and they don't care what other people think.
Right.
And I think that's at the root of this too.
Right.
It's that insecurity, and it's like, ooh, they're going to judge me. I'm just going to be my own, leave you alone, whatever. I have an old car, right? Another person with an old car pulls up next to me. I'm like, hey, what's up? And then they wave at me. We have a commonality. Suddenly there's a bond there.
Sure.
There's
You're
something.
paying too much money to fix that car.
Exactly.
You both know.
Right.
You're wasting money. You're pouring money into a horrible,
it's true.
bad investment.
Money pit. Until I see the Trump, sticker on the back of their car, and then I pull away.
Well, I have a universal rule: is that people are much worse than you think they are. So, and in that, I'm saying this,
Doesn't that go against what we just said?
No. You think you can't say hello to that person because that person's better than you, or that person is cooler than you, or that person's something than you. You're less than, they're better, they don't have problems, you have problems. All of the baggage that you're carrying with you, you sort of put in the moment, and you don't realize in that moment. Of course, logically that person has a shit ton of problems.
Yeah.
And they have their own ego problems and they have own insecurities. But you forget about that.
Yeah.
And you just avoid that. And so instead you come to it now, if you can just say hello, knowing we both have insecurities, but we'll find our way through, because everybody there's joy.
Yeah.
There's goodness in saying hello. There's a kindness in extending your hand.
Yeah.
There's this kindness in smiling at somebody.
Right.
There's a Jewish law, interestingly enough, Jewish law says if you see a homeless person, and the best thing you can do for that person, you can give them money, give them food, but smile at them, connect with them.
Yeah.
Look in their eyes. These are people who don't get to connect with people.
Absolutely. It's so funny. So I stopped at a light, and there was a guy sitting here, and he had a sign, and you know, and then I rolled down my window. I had some spare change, and I gave him spare change, and I was like, "Hey, what's your name?" And the guy said, "My name's Roy." And I was like, "Hey, Roy, have a good day, buddy." And he's like, "Oh, thanks." And I'm not saying that I did a good day.
Right.
I'm just saying the look on his face when it wasn't a homeless guy,
Right.
but it was a guy now named Roy, and I had a conversation with. You see these posts on social media. By the way, people are doing wonderful things on social media. They need to be acknowledged. You should have some of those people. Not alone with Jay Kogan.
I would love to have social media people, but you know
the people.
I'm afraid to say hello to them, so I
know,
can't meet
no,
them.
I'm saying there are people. There are these people that they'll find somebody's lawn is overgrown. Have you seen these videos?
Yes. I love that guy.
I love
He knocks on the
that
door
guy.
and he
Well, tell people what it is.
The guy knocks on a stranger's door. They think, of course, he's selling something. He says, "I'm not selling something. I just saw that your lawn's overgrown or dead. The lawn has grown out over the sidewalk." And so what he does is he takes a lawnmower and a weed whacker and a shovel and he just digs out all around the lawn to make it beautiful. And then at the end, he sort of waves to the lady or the person at the thing, said, you know, and they thank him. He's done this great deed for no other reason than doing a great deed.
But he also has a tremendous following. There's over 1 million people that follow him to watch the transformations and also to watch the reactions of the people.
Right.
And he's making plenty of money online. And like Mr. Beast, another example of a guy, he's giving away millions of dollars. It's fueling the millions of followers. There is a way to do this. And I know that sounds, there's a greed attached to it, and there's a job attached. But I'm saying people are good.
Right, but back up to how I can make millions of dollars in this. Because really,
Buy a weed
did I
whacker.
tell you that Stanford's a very expensive school?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, buy a weed whacker for your kid.
See, now I'm not going to be doing lawn work.
No.
Not because I'm afraid to do it, but I would do a terrible, terrible job.
Well, that homeless person that you just met, maybe you can put a weed whacker in their hand.
Right. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. That when you say hello to the homeless person, you're doing such a nice thing for a homeless person. You're doing an even better thing for yourself. What you're doing, there's an exchange there. There's an energy exchange that happens when you say hello to that person who hasn't said hello back, and there's a connection. You walk away with something. You walk away with a gift. The gift is that person gave you a little bit of something of themselves.
Yeah.
He didn't have to say, I'm Roy. He didn't have to say anything. He could have told you to screw off but he didn't. He connected with you, and he let that happen, and that's a gift.
And by the way, they're not always like that. I have given food, and they're like, "What is it?" And I'm like, "It's a hamburger." Right. And they're like, "I'm vegan."
Right. Well,
that's only in LA.
Right. That happens in LA to me a lot because those guys want money. I mean, so a lot of those guys they don't want the food. They want money.
Yeah. But just the average Joe, the average person, you don't have to buy the person in back of you their coffee at Starbucks. You don't have to just say hello. I could not agree more. I know, I'm probably the 80th guest that you've had on this show to say that, but it's true.
Everybody else has said that's fucked up. Everybody else has absolutely said it's horrible.
I'm the only one.
You're the only one who agreed with me, which is weird.
That is weird.
Yeah.
But I am weird.
So tell me before we go to question time, which is what everybody's favorite part of the show.
Yeah, mine too.
Tell me how you say you got an acting by osmosis, but you didn't get an acting by osmosis because to be an actor and to be a good actor takes skill, takes learning, takes a choice, perseverance. Yes, rejection, all the stuff, the shitty stuff about being an actor or being a writer, as I am, and a failed actor, comedian.
A failed actor.
Well, I don't work as much as I'd like.
Right.
I'm still available to anyone who will do it.
It's interesting. If you're not going to hire yourself, why do you expect other people to hire?
People don't know. I have a rule on TV shows where I started out as an actor comedian, and I love acting. I love being a comic, and I still do stuff with my comedy group, the Transformers, and I still do stuff with the Groundlings. And I will show up. My rule is I will show up at any show, no matter how humiliating or degrading the part, knowing my lines, on time, ready to go, if you just ask me. Right? That's my rule.
Okay, well, that's sort of been my career, too.
Right.
I haven't said no a lot.
Right. But I will not cast myself in any show that I'm making because of two things. One is I kind of always thought that if you have a job, you're a writer on a show, you're a producer on a show, you have a job. There are so many actors who need jobs. Why are you taking this other thing? And the only time I'll ever do anything like that is when there's nobody else available and like we're in ADR and I'm just going to make a noise or a grunt or whatever it is. And it's just like, we got to get it done. And then I'm usually off the books, by the way, too, just like getting it done. So just finishing the show.
Yeah.
Or somebody else can't do it. Or I've left the show. If I've left the show, it just happened to me before, and the producers call me back to do something, then I will work on that show. But
Was that The Simpsons?
No, I never did a voice on The Simpsons, but I did a part on The Single Guy. And
You never did a voice on The Simpsons?
Well, at the time, The Simpsons was 5 people doing voices and superstars. So you either had Bruce Springsteen and everybody else.
Right, that's true.
Because there's enough between Dan Castellaneta and Hank Azaria and Harry Shearer, there's enough of those male voices to do any possible voice.
Right.
And now they've added casts because they don't want to do they want to give people of color the right to do characters of color. Right. So that has changed. So there's more voices, but I am not of color. Right. I'm of the plain color that Harry Shearer and Hank Azaria and Dan Castellaneta are already.
I would classify you as off-white.
Yes, I'm definitely off-white.
Yeah.
Ukrainian, I think is the color.
When people ask me, like, what color is Jake Hogan? I go, eggshell?
Yeah, eggshell. Yeah.
That's what I go
like.
Mayonnaise?
Yeah. People, although.
Ranch?
Ranch, too far. I don't think ranch. Mayonnaise, I think mayonnaise is exactly.
Yeah,
there's a little blue tinge to ranch that I think is not part of who I am.
I would say blue cheese at times.
I reject it. Yeah. I reject it.
Okay. See, here's the thing. So I just got a text. I just checked my text.
Right.
And I think, and it's from a relative, my brother, who I love, and I'm reading it in a negative way. Like I read it too quickly.
Right.
And I read something bad, and then I reread it, and it's good. Why do we do that?
You had a script in your head. You had a script in your head of what it was going to be.
My dad's almost 91, so maybe that's why.
And you were worried about your dad, medical thing, and you had a thing in your head. You were preparing yourself for bad news, and then you saw it.
And it was good news.
And it was good news.
Really good news.
Preparing yourself for bad news.
Yeah.
And we do that.
It says Dad's doing great. And I read, there's something wrong with Dad.
It's self-defense.
I guess so. Yeah. So I'm preparing myself for the worst.
Yeah.
In many ways. Yeah.
What was your first part as an adult?
Oh, man. So there was a company called the Computer Learning Center. Mm-hmm. This is crazy. I should have quit after this. I was.
Maybe you still should. Let me hear how it went.
Yeah. So I was, obviously looking for anything possible, and breakdown services, and then you would look on breakdown, or you would look on the casting call sheets or whatever, and somehow I submitted myself, and I got this role, and it was a guy, talking about it was a commercial for a local company.
Right.
So my call time, I was really excited, and I was, whatever. My call time was, I think, 9 a.m. It wasn't terribly early. Oh, no, sorry. My call time was 8 a.m., and I woke up at 9 a.m. My very first job. Wow. And I remember looking at and I was like, what is going on? I couldn't believe it. I called them. They're like, where are you?
Right.
We're waiting for you. And they didn't have the budget to have, no one has a backup. Right. So I get there, I literally, I'm like this, I look terrible, and we're talking about, I was like 20 at the time, or 23, and it gave me every reason, and I looked at it, I remember seeing it many, many years ago, and I was like, it's the worst thing I've ever seen.
Of course.
And, but I have a theory that, when something, it's yin and yang, right? So get the bad out, and then everything is good.
I have a different theory.
You do? What's your theory?
You were self-sabotaging. You were trying to find a reason not to do this thing that you claimed that you wanted to do, but were nervous about doing, and maybe think you couldn't do it, and maybe you had all this pressure, and then you slept in, and then God or the world or fate or whatever said, no, you're going to do this thing.
Wow. Fuck you, Jake Hogan.
Yep.
You might be right.
I might be right.
And you know what? Actors do that a lot.
Who sleeps
till 9
on their first acting job? Nobody. No one does that, because that was purpose behind it.
Because I was so nervous about that. I think you're 100% right.
And I think I am too.
Yeah. And by the way, actors do this all the time. So we complain about not getting auditions. Then when we get them, we convince ourselves we're not right for the part. It happens all the time. Yeah. I get a call from a friend. They say, I want you to read with me. I have to read this thing. Will you be behind the camera and read? And they'll say, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm not right for this. It's like, if they give them the benefit of the doubt, you're the guy on the other side.
Right.
casting director. Good casting director is not just throwing shit against the wall.
No.
They're bringing the right people for the role. So you've already been pre-selected.
Of course.
Do your best.
Do your best. Also, there is a school of thought that says if I make it unimportant, I am free to just do what I want and I don't have to worry about it. Like I'm pre-selecting the idea I'm not going to get it, but then I'm just going to do what I want. The only parts I ever got were parts I didn't think I would ever get.
Yeah.
And so I would go in and I would read with authenticity. I would read the freedom. I would have fun. I would have joy.
You didn't care. Yeah.
Joy in myself because it was like, well, who gives a shit? Like this is not happening and I'm wrong for it. And
Boom.
People liked it. Yeah. That's
because you've taken all the desperation out of it. I have to say, I tell other actors, they're like, "Oh, you have any advice for my son or my daughter or whatever?" First, I say, "Get out of the business,"
right?
because if they get past that, I mean, I honestly I talk to sometimes somebody's running a class at UCLA or SC or whatever, and I'll go talk to all these actors, and I'll tell them the first thing. First of all, you're never going to make money at this. Mm-hmm. You're never going to be successful. No one is really going to hire you. Never. And I say, and if you get past that,
I'm not inviting you to the classes I'm teaching, by the way. Just letting you know right now, that's not happening.
Greg Grunberg is so positive.
I'll get thrown out of USC. I'm teaching a writing class at USC. If I brought a guy in and said, you'll never get hired, those kids quit, the school closes down.
But I'm setting them up for the 85% of the time. That's what they're going to hear.
Right.
And I immediately say, all I'm saying is, if you get past that, you're fine.
Right.
You have to do this for all the right reasons. Right. And don't shake hands in the room. When I've cast things as a producer or director or whatever, when an actor walks in, he's like, "Hi, how are you?" Right. Or she goes down the line and shakes it. There's just this air of desperation. I want to be, as an actor, you have to be. You're the commodity. They have to want you.
Right.
So don't give them everything at first. I'm telling you, there is something to that, and it plays it once you can.
That's like advice you give your daughter.
Right.
Don't give everything all at once.
Well, let them
want you.
The number one, I don't have a daughter, but let's pretend I do.
Okay.
The number one thing I tell my daughter is don't ever be alone with Jake Hogan.
That's true. And by the way, the title of the show, once again, is not based on a restraining order. It's just the idea I don't want people to be alone, and I just put my name. It's not well named.
You think you have to explain that after 83 episodes?
I don't really have. I do have to because the lawyers call. So I have to do that.
Right.
I have. We should go to question time because we're running out of time.
Let's go.
There are, as you know, today we have 6 categories. Mm-hmm. We have curiosity, friendship, joy, family, history, and strange questions.
Okay, now I forgot. These questions are directly aimed at me, or
no,
they're just
general
questions?
General questions, some of which have been generated from ChatGPT. So it's like they have been generated by a...
So I'm really helping no one.
Artificial intelligence. No, the answers will spur a conversation.
Oh, great.
And we're going to talk to about them. And they've been curated by me.
Okay,
so,
by the way, I love Philosophy Friday. I think
thank you.
I really
love
do.
Philosophy Friday, too. Now, who would have thought that a comedy writer whose job it is to not give a shit about anything and just be funny would care about philosophy?
If anybody said hello to you,
that's right.
They would know that you are not that typical Hollywood guy.
I like people.
Yeah,
I like people.
You do.
So what's your category? Choose a category and then we'll choose.
I wasn't listening.
Okay. History, family, joy, friendship, curiosity, or strange questions?
I got to go strange questions.
Okay, strange questions. Pick a number between 1 and 21.
Okay. Tell you?
Yeah.
19.
Question 19. If you could only listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I would have to, it's got to be the theme song to Don't Be Alone with Jake Hogan.
Play it.
And
Let's play it.
not the short version.
No.
This I love.
Oh, not this song.
No.
Okay.
The other one that your son so brilliantly wrote.
Greg is talking about a song that my son wrote as the theme song to this show.
Yeah.
It's a very long song. I play it occasionally, and I'm going to play it again. Now, here's the thing about Charlie Cogan. Charlie Cogan, you should go to Charlie Cogan Music.
Is fucking brilliant.
Is a brilliant singer-songwriter who's right now studying international relations for some godforsaken reason. For the same reason that you quit school and did your thing, he should be doing music right now.
Yes, he should be.
I don't have control over him. He wants to do what he's going to do. But I asked him at one point to just write a poppy, fun song that's about the situation of people being stuck in the world together, feeling lost, but find hope in it. That's all I said.
Being
I said,
alone together.
I basically was for people in their 20s, because I also felt people in their 20s see a little desperation, see there's no hope in the world moving forward.
Right.
They feel that it's there's no way to make money. There's no health care. Relationships are hard.
Yeah.
There's no communication. There's no connection. All that stuff. So I wanted to capture that, and I said, but find some joy, find some hope in it. And I said, make it good.
Yeah.
Make it something I want to tap my toes to. And this is what he wrote.
This life's a party, and time is all we own. Just put on a pair of dancing shoes and step into the zone. One day you might wake up craving a brand new start. Then you break the bank or he breaks your heart. But go big or go home, you'll never be alone. We're here right now, but not forever. Don't need to find something better. With you there is no storm that we can't weather. We may be lost, but we're lost together. We may be lost, but we're lost together. We may be lost, but we're lost together.
I love it. I love it.
So now, talk about joy.
Yeah.
You have this guy. I listen to music all the time. I'm a huge music guy. This guy's music brings me joy. I mean, it's not just that he's my kid. Yes, he's my kid, but I like the hook.
Yeah, I do
like
too.
I like his voice when it goes up. We may be lost, but we're lost.
Yeah.
I like his style.
Don't ever do that.
I
again.
was
What you just did. That's
I'm not a professional,
I
but
clearly-
I actually can sing. I can't sing that, but I can sing. But on my way over here, I was listening to Fountains of Wayne, and there's a great song that I was just listening to it, and so much joy was coming from it. It was this song called "The Girl I Can't Forget." And I wish I could play it here, but I can't. I can only play 9 seconds of it.
Right.
But it's genius. And the lyrics are smart. My kid's lyrics are really smart. He is a poet. He's a philosopher. And he is, and his lyrics, when he wants to, can break my heart. And when he wants to, can lift me up. And the same thing with all the great, like Sarah Bareilles. She can just destroy me.
I agree. Now I'm a drummer. Okay, and I have a band. The original band was a band from TV and a bunch of other actors in the band. And now it's the action figures. So we play Comic-Cons, and everybody on stage has to have an action figure. But we have Nick Marzak, who is our musical director. He's also the producer of podcasts here. I do everything with Nick. Nick does music for all the shows I do and everything. Nick is a singer-songwriter that and I'm glad you don't have a microphone, and because he'll be like, "Oh, thanks," but trust me, it's the same feeling I have, and he's not my son, but he is like family.
Right.
But when
do you give him money on a weekly basis?
I do not.
All right,
I do not. But so he's not dependent on me. But I'm telling you that when it's like going to a great restaurant, the food comes and you go, "Wow, there was really some care. Somebody really is passionate about what they do." Your son's music is the same way, and it's thoughtful, and it's hooky, but it's thoughtful.
Yeah.
Nick's songs, I mean, kind of Hate L.A. and Last Call. There's so many songs. His new album, I absolutely, and I'm a music guy. I'm a music guy.
We will play Nick's song on one of the podcasts coming forward.
You don't have to. I'm just saying.
I will. I want to do it.
Okay.
I think it's great.
9 seconds.
Yeah, only 9 seconds, or else you have to pay for it.
Well, unless we have the author permission from the singer-songwriter, like
you're not going to get it.
Charlie Cogan's ASCAP, but I'm not paying him a dime.
Right.
Believe me.
Hey, he can kiss my ass.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. So it's all fine.
But music is has music always been a big part of the shows that you do?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Music is so important. I mean, look at The Simpsons. I was in charge of the music for The Simpsons from the beginning.
Oh, I didn't know
had to get
that.
a composer. I had to get, and I found Alf Clausen, who was great, and Matt Groening, genius, who said we need an orchestra, we need a full orchestra. We have to give this dumb little cartoon some oomph. We need to give it an emotional life, and the only way to do that is through music.
Yeah.
And he was 100% right. And I think this show that's been on for 1,000 years wouldn't have lasted 8 episodes without a great score.
I agree. And by the way, Nick does music with Seth MacFarlane. He does American Dad and what else you've done?
I'll produce every now and then.
Yeah, which is great.
The
Seth
music on
MacFarlane,
that show is also great. Although Seth leans towards the 1940s,
crooner type thing.
Walter Murphy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, they did on Family Guy. They did a Road to Morocco. They did Road to Morocco. They didn't do a spoof of Road to Morocco. They just did Road to Morocco. They just did We're Off on the Road to Morocco.
Right.
So that an entire generation of people who have no clue what that is could see that and enjoy it, and it was just genius.
I love it. I love it so much. Yeah. I'm a big music guy. To me, and JJ, growing up, the two of us, it's always been music. Music drives everything.
Well, then I'm going to ask the question again for real, because I don't believe that My Son's Song is the one song that you would take on a desert island.
God, that's so hard. To be honest, there's a song that there's so many. To pick one song is really, but a song that gets me there. I'll listen to it before. You know what? I want to answer 2 parts. Okay. Well, but my song is a song called My Bag.
Okay.
And it's by Lloyd Cole and the Commotions.
Okay.
And it's a song that's the first time you hear it, it's almost like a rapper. You're like, oh, I want to learn that song. It's just so great. Lloyd Cole is just incredible, and my buddy and I, we kind of will sing it and stupidly send versions of ourselves singing this. I just love that song so much. You want to play just a few? It's kind of like that British rock thing, but it's really, really good, and so people can check that out. Now, music has always been a really big part of emotional stuff with our family. Okay, so our oldest son Jake has epilepsy, and there's a song by Five for Fighting called Superman, and it's now I'm doing this series called the Caregiver series, and in that don't tell me what a wonderful job I'm doing. Don't put that label of being Superman or being special on me. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. When people come up to my wife and I and they're like, "You guys are incredible. How do you do it?" It's like, what are we supposed to do? This is my son. Right. This is what I do. Now, I go over to Above and Beyond. I have a podcast called Talk About It. I have the Caregiver series. But that's me. That's my way of just being proactive and not waiting for a seizure to happen and sitting there and holding my son. It's horrible. And so, but Superman has been inspirational for Jake when he had brain surgery. I put it on as they were taking him into surgery. Rocky, the music from Rocky has always been... Yeah, I mean, this song, and by the way, so that's John Andrasik, who is Five for Fighting. There's no band, it's John. And John has been incredible, and John actually, so John Andrasik's, my band was playing an event, and Five for Fighting was there, and they were downstairs, and this guy, Randy Cook, who's a friend, drummer, he introduces me to John, and I said, I tell him the story, I say, the song really means a lot to my son, and he said, oh, you're kidding me. Oh, okay. We were at the Palace, I think, in L.A. or whatever. And he said, why don't you have your son? I like to bring somebody up on stage and put him on the piano bench with me, and I'll sing the song to your son. I'm like, oh my gosh. So we did sound check. I go home. I say to my wife, I'm so excited. I'm like, Jake. And Jake's, he's like 14, I think, or 15, and I said, dude, I have such a special thing for you tonight. You're not going to believe it. I want you to come back with me to the show. And, that song, Five for Fighting. I think I either was going to surprise him. Anyway, he got so excited. He took a shower. He's getting dressed, and he had a huge seizure. Oh. So he couldn't go. And I went back and had to play a show. And he was fine. Seen thousands of seizures, whatever, his epilepsy. But it was so heartbreaking. Right. It was like one of those moments where it just happens at the wrong time. Right. And maybe he was so excited. Maybe that's what it was. But
maybe he hated John Andrasik.
He may have hated Five for Fighting. That's
you do anything to get out of it.
Goes back to what you said about my first acting job. Yeah. But and then many years later, cut to, John Andrasik here performing for an epilepsy fundraiser for me, and Jake was right there. So it all came full circle. But music has always been a huge part of everything. It just motivates us. And, I love it.
I agree. That song in particular, and he has the other song about what age, I forget what it's about, like, when I was 15, 100 days, which
100
also
years.
That's so good. But when I listened to the Superman song, I never translated that to my life or anything. I actually thought, what a genius song about the inner life of Superman. Just literally of Superman. I didn't go past that. Like Superman has his own insecurities. This is Superman, literally.
Exactly.
And I thought that's enough. That was enough for me to fall in love with that.
Right,
song.
but that's what we identified it as. Like, I'm only a man with a phony red sheet. It's like, don't look at me as anything bigger.
Right, but also imposter syndrome. He's got imposter syndrome. We all have imposter syndrome. He's Superman, but inside Superman, it goes to my other point that we started with. Everyone carries their own insecurities. You say hello to somebody, you think, I can't say hello to Superman.
Yeah.
But Superman's saying, things aren't always so great being Superman.
Right.
I got kryptonite.
Let me
Lex
ask you
Luthor.
Right.
I got issues.
But that's what I was just going to say. When somebody cuts you off, when somebody's pissed off,
Right.
when they explode at you,
Right.
do you give them the benefit of the doubt?
Of
Because
course.
you have to. Everybody's going through something, right?
But I think it's a problem with me. Honestly, I do. The first thing I say is, what's wrong with that guy? I must be having a bad day. I absolutely do that thing. But people have told me, and people I love and also shrinks have told me, well, but what about your feelings? Don't you have, am I so guarded that I don't allow for those feelings? I think it's a great defense mechanism. Maybe it's a great, it's protective, but it's also sympathetic or whatever. But people are telling me, no, it's all defense, and it's okay to be mad. Be mad at that guy. That person's being mad at you. You can only be mad at that person.
Yeah, don't hold it in.
But I disagree. Honestly, it's worked well for me to not feel the pain of somebody insulting me or something.
You're going to let it out one day. One day you're just going to take someone hostage.
There'll be a mall situation.
Right. It'll be really bad. What's going on?
Yeah.
Too many people cut this guy off.
Hence, don't be alone with J-Code.
Right.
So I'm going to do one more question from the question time, and then we're going to do our things that make us joyful. You're gonna tell me one thing at the end.
One of my favorite segments on this show, by the way,
about joy.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say one thing that's gonna make me joyful.
There's no way that I'm gonna say something that hasn't been said before. After 83 episodes, like
you're gonna find it. It doesn't matter
with...
if you repeat. It's what means something to you.
All right.
Okay. So here are the categories.
Yep.
History, joy, friendship, and curiosity.
Friendship.
Friendship. Okay. Now pick a number between 1 and 22.
I'm going to go number 1.
Okay. Question number 1.
Right after the show. It goes just right over Jay's head.
What qualities
do
you look for in a friend, and why are they important to you?
Okay.
And can you make your answer as generic as the question?
Yes. Go. Yes. I think the most important quality in a friend is just that friend being unconditional. I don't want any reason why.
Do you have a friend who's unconditional?
Unconditional. Yes, absolutely unconditional.
Like
my best friend.
I love you.
Yeah.
But there are conditions.
No,
there
I
are
understand.
absolutely conditions.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. But I just want someone who's going to give it to me straight when they're not going to look for anything.
Right.
They're not going to, they don't expect anything in return.
Right.
There's just, is unconditional the right word? I'm just talking about, like, for example, my wife is, she will laugh first.
Right.
She will not look around to see if other people are laughing. This is one of the things I love about my wife so much, is she's very, she's like juvenile in that way. It's just, she's unconditional. She just receives love. She receives hate.
So that sounds like no pretense.
Right.
Okay. That doesn't sound like unconditional.
Yeah, right. That is unconditional, right?
I would say unfiltered.
Unfiltered.
Okay.
Yeah. Or unguarded. Or yeah.
Right. That voice, by the way, is another guest from another show that's coming up. So
right, which is a much better episode than mine.
Yeah.
I just feel that and by the way, in what we do, you become guarded. Like when I'm always like, somebody wants something from me.
Right.
That's the first thing. So a friendship, I think, is just, again, I'm going to go back to unconditional. There's no conditions attached to it. You're my friend because you love me. I'm your friend because I love you and I care about you.
Right.
I don't want anything from you.
We could have cut each other loose years ago.
That's true.
And we didn't.
No.
So that means that we like each other. That means that we have a connection. That also means we're honorable people. We're working in a thing together, and we honor that. But
that's icing on the cake.
It would have been easy to just go like we're pitching a thing and say you go your way, I'll go, and I could have pitched it again, my own, but
no.
Why do that? I like spending time with you. It's great, and,
it's
and
fun.
so there's.
But how many people can you honestly put in that category? Where no matter what I'm going through, I honestly do believe that I could call you up and go, dude, and honestly, my other friend JJ, Nick, I feel the same way. I've been in horrible situations where my son is in brain surgery,
right,
and my wife and I are going through it together, and I pick up the phone, and JJ will just not even say anything. He just listens, listens, and he goes, "Okay, get your ass back in there.
Right.
You're the dad. Do it."
His assistant is listening for most of that call, but then at the end she signals him to come on in.
She's like, he's wrapping it up.
Wrapping it up. Come on,
grab the phone.
Sure.
Yeah, no, it does it all the time.
I get that. I get
Yeah.
that. No, I mean, it's true. I could call you to help me move, and mainly because I got that truck.
Right.
But otherwise, no, I mean, there's certain people I really feel like I could, the quality of the friendship is usually based on a connection.
Yeah.
And usually based on commonality. But then beyond that, after you know somebody, it's like you get to know their soul.
Yeah.
You get to know a little bit, like deep down, are they good people? Are they good for you? Do you get a good vibe back from them? Do you think that they lift your life up a little bit? Do they pull you down?
I'll tell you a good barometer of that is when something great happens or something bad happens, do they show up?
Yeah.
Not text, not send a post, not send an email.
Right.
Pick up the fucking phone and call. Show up. Don't call.
So call. That technology is showing up. The other technology is bullshit.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, it is. It's so easy to just send a thing. But I'm saying, like, if God forbid something happens in your family, I'm not going to call you and go, "What can I do for you?"
Right.
That now that I'm giving you another job, think of what I can do for you. No, show the fuck up with some food.
Right.
Show up and give a hug. I'm a big believer in that. Every time someone goes, "Oh, what can I do?" I'm like, "No, nothing. We're good," because that's the answer you're going to get.
Right.
But a real friend will just be there and just say, "What can I do?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, I'll send you an invoice to use my truck.
Of course.
I'm not going to do it for free.
No, I know that.
But you know that truck is available for rent.
I have all that billing from you, and I'll get to it. I'll get to it.
Pay me in pastrami.
Well, you have been a brilliant and wonderful guest.
Would you say the best guest you've ever had?
So far, the best guest.
Awesome.
So far, the best guest.
I love it.
But, still on a scale of 1 to 10, not a 10. But really great. Really, really great.
I appreciate it.
Really
your next guest better have brought his own studio.
Well,
if he wants to compare it to me.
That's true. The gift of the studio is magical.
It's always available. I love it. And I only have one request, that I can be a guest on another episode. And it doesn't have to be about me. I just want to sit in.
Yeah.
I honestly, and I know, we joke around a lot, but this is so important. When you told me that you were doing this podcast, it couldn't be more important. I really hope it catches on and gets more and more popular, because everybody's insulated. There's so many people and a younger generation especially.
If I can just get a fraction of the people of the guy who fixes people's lawns, then I will be happy.
That's not going to happen.
That's all that happens.
No.
So now we're going to end our show with with our joy, things that give us joy. The reason I do this is because I don't think there's enough joy. I don't think people are stuck inside. They're not living their best life. And by the way, me included.
Yeah.
This show isn't for other people. It's for me.
Yeah.
It's for me to not be alone. It's for me to find joy. It's for me because I don't know anything better than anybody else. So I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah.
So my joy lately has been going on hikes where I can see the ocean. I mean, that's it. I hate exercise. So to exercise, I have to listen to podcasts or music.
Yeah.
I have to trick myself into there'll be a treat at the end.
Right.
There'll be a water bottle. But I can hike
to a donut store.
To a donut store. I can hike actually, donuts are making me sick now. I'm not having donuts these days.
Oh, well, you and I you went down and
I know. I'm sorry. I loved donuts, and now suddenly it's like.
Well, I wish that happened to me.
I can have a bite, and it's fine. If I have 4 bites, I'm going, oh, this is not good.
Wow. Okay.
My body is rejecting it.
Well, you also are a great exercise photographer, because the picture you just sent out, you're on a path, there were trees, and through the trees, I think you could see the ocean.
Yeah, sure.
It was unbelievable. I was like, where are you? And it turned out it was Griffith Park, right?
Will Rogers.
Will Rogers, yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, I'd like to take the photos, and it's just, they start to get the same a little bit, but I'm still working that out.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
But anyway, hiking in the Will Rogers or the Temescal Canyon or any place where I can go up and see the ocean and feel the breeze, I can do that for hours. And so I found a thing that I can do that I don't hate, and that gives me joy.
That gives you
also
joy.
Makes me feel like, okay, I'm doing something better than eating donuts from my body, So that's my joy.
Besides donuts, my joy, and I know it's your joy as well, is seeing my kids get passionate about something.
Okay.
My son you got a great sales job. He's going to be a sports psychologist. So in the meantime, while he's studying, he got a job, and it was for Konica Minolta, and he's selling copiers, and it's like, whatever. You can do sales, you can do anything, and it was great. But This guy played 4 years of D1 baseball. He loves baseball. He just got a new job that involves baseball with baseball people, and it's also sales, but he's so happy. He's so passionate. My other son, passionate about playing baseball in college, where he is now. My other son, I just love it. That gives me such joy.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's like to see them fired up, spring out of bed in the morning and want to, get out of the house as I'm making homemade donuts. And they don't care. They don't care. They'll get there.
Right. Now, a question.
Yeah.
How much, the passion is great. How much does it alleviate the worry? In other words, we're all worried about our kids too.
Yeah.
There's all like, what's the future going to be? Are they going to be? So like, how much?
That's a whole other episode for me.
Right.
Because of Jake and the fact that I know he's special needs,
Right.
but he's, you would never know. Epilepsy's that way. Unless
Right.
you see someone have a seizure. Jake's a normal kid. But all I want is to protect along the way and do what does the future hold for. Like we all look and go, oh, I just want them to be happy and find their thing.
Right.
Passion is not their thing. I mean,
Right.
what he's doing right now is a nice thing, but it's a great question.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll ever alleviate all the worry.
Right. No, I don't think all the worry will ever go away.
No.
But you can have faith when your kid is riding on passion that it'll work out. Though in some way, shape, or form, that passion will turn to something, and it might not be money that comes, it might not be something, but they'll have joy in their life. They'll have some freedom of knowing that they're doing what they're going to do, and usually some form of survival follows when you find your passion.
Yeah.
So that, to me, that does, when my son figures out what he's going to do, either become a musician, a producer, international spy, whatever it is that international relations does.
Right.
Like he's studying Russian. I don't know. I'm a little worried.
Yeah.
We'll figure out what happens, and then I'll be a little less worried.
Yeah.
He'll just follow his passion.
We're with you.
Okay, so now it's time, as we do every show,
Yes.
for listener mail.
I love listener mail.
Listener mail.
This is the face I make when I hear it. It's like scat.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. That was not written by my son Charlie. It was written by another friend of mine's son. So
That was someone's son?
that was Isaac Pross Max Pross is a writer. His son is a musician, and he created that cue for me.
Wow.
With a friend of his who sang that. I don't know who it was.
Oh, okay. So that was a female voice.
It was a female voice.
Yeah, it's a pretty voice.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, here's the question I have. It's Dear Jay.
Yeah. So
I'm
far,
50
I love it.
Dear Jay, I'm 52 years old, recently divorced, and I've moved to a new town for work.
If this is my wife, I swear to God, this is the way she's going to tell me.
How can I overcome my fear of rejection and loneliness to make new friends at an older age, especially after being told I'm worthless by my spouse?
Wow.
Signed, JT.
First of all, Justin Timberlake does not need any help.
He does, apparently.
He's
moved
just
from
so
Nashville to some other new town.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wow, that's a great.
I mean,
Very personal
and
question.
And at 52 years old, you're set in your ways. It's hard to make friends at 52.
It is, but you have to open yourself up. I mean, again, say hello. This gets back to your original question. Right. I mean, you can meet someone at Starbucks, and by the way, you're going to meet the right person when it's supposed to happen. Can you imagine being single right now? Let's just put that out there.
I can, and I do every single day. Oh my God, do I imagine being single? Jesus.
That's not where I was going with this.
No, okay. No, I couldn't. I mean, sure, I could do it. I mean, it wouldn't be.
But this question is a valid one. It's not like you go, "What's the matter with this guy?"
Right? No, it's absolutely valid.
something and single again.
Right. But here's the thing. I guess he has to figure out what the time he used to put in to socializing with his wife, he now has to find socializing with something else. He's to find his passion.
Yes.
Like your son
Yes.
found his passion, my son's hopefully finding his passion. Invest in a group activity or a thing, and then if you're doing that thing, other people will be doing that thing, and you'll find contact in that world. So it's not a forced friendship. It's a friendship out of commonality. It's a friendship out of something that he's finding that he loves.
What Jay is trying to say is download Farmers Only. Because,
that's really the main thing.
But it's true. Find that group. Bowling, roller skating, go to church.
This guy's 52. He should not be roller skating.
Anything from this century?
Yeah. Roller skating? This guy's going to be in traction in 3 days. What the hell is wrong with you?
Whittling. I'm just saying.
Right.
Yeah,
Right, I
whittling,
understand.
chiseling.
Right, I understand.
know?
So,
Armory. Take up something.
right, okay, fair enough. So
Throwing
that's,
axes is a thing.
dear JT.
Okay, things
Right.
do cyclically come
right,
back.
yes, whittling will come back. Is that what you're saying? Fine, you'll find friends. You'll find friends doing an activity that
Yes.
you like. Now you have to brave the thought of going alone into that thing. That's hard.
And you have to brave splinters.
Yes,
If you're whittling.
whittling can be hard.
But I know I agree. It is
need a
going to
certain
be
amount
hard.
of
But
courage.
just know that you are not alone
You're
in
not alone.
this. I mean, I'm
Right.
not doing
Don't
that just
be
because
alone.
I'm looking
Sure.
at a big thing with your logo on it. You're not alone. There are other people going through this.
Right.
And fuck your wife for saying that. F your wife, man. Seriously, like, why would she say such a thing?
Sounds like a contentious divorce.
Yes.
All right, that happens. I don't know if you know this,
No.
but divorce isn't always pleasant.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I know you've been long married, but
Yeah.
divorce isn't always
But
pleasant.
I look at friends of mine that have gotten divorced and I go, good for them. I mean, if you want to be happier,
Right.
life is short. Well, life could end tomorrow. So
There's
it's
no such thing as a bad divorce. The comedian, I forget which comedian said this, but I'm stealing it completely. Which said they're divorced for a reason. People are divorced for a reason.
Right.
People were unhappy. Somebody was unhappy, and that unhappiness sort of permeates all things. And
Yeah.
so people are better off when they're divorced because
Yeah.
they went through it. There was a reason.
Exactly. And that comedian is very talented, even though he got busted for masturbating.
Was it? Is that
I think so.
Okay.
I think it's Louis.
Louis?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, Louis
well,
said it.
he's right.
Yeah,
he's
well,
right.
he's
not right
single.
about everything.
But he's single.
And he
so-
also said he shouldn't masturbate in front of people he worked with anymore.
So
Okay,
that's
there you go.
a healthy thing. Anyway, I wish him all the luck.
Yes.
And we would. How about a follow up letter? Like, tell us how it's going.
Okay.
You know?
JT, tell us how it's going. If you listen to this, tell us what group you joined, or if you joined a group, or if
Yep.
you think we're just complete assholes.
Yep.
And of course, always all mail comes to Don't Be Alone with Jake Hogan, DBAWJAYKOGEN@gmail.com.
Yes.
And then we will hear all your questions, all your comments,
Yep.
all your compliments, all your hate mail. It should come all right there.
Yeah, and JT, thank you very much, and we'll be sending you a T-shirt and a mug as soon as we possibly can.
Yeah, which we never. We have no T-shirts or mugs.
Yet.
But I did buy the T-shirt cannon. Weird. I spent the money
That
on the
is
T-shirt
weird
cannon.
because of the live audience. By
yeah.
the way, you guys look great.
All right, so we've done our joy.
Yes.
Okay, and now it's time to say goodbye. So, Greg, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
It feels like the first show and not the 84th show.
Yes.
And thank you so much for doing this. And
Can
thank
I
you for
come
the
back,
studio.
please?
This put me in an awkward situation. I can't say no
Right,
on,
that's why I'm
on the
asking you
mic.
now.
So
Yes.
I'm going to say, absolutely, we're going to have you back at the first opportunity.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. When it makes
First
sense.
opportunity, when it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
I get
okay,
it.
I love it.
I love
All right.
you.
I love you too. That was
Thank you.
great. Thanks. And don't be alone.
With Jake Hogan. Ever.
Don't be